Good evening and welcome to the Wreck of the Ruby Princess. I'm your cruise director, Tori. Come aboard, we're expecting you. Just going to mute some stuff. Bit of muting. I'm your cruise director. That in particular.
Divorces are often messy and...
Not that. Whoops. It's going to mute. Divorces are often messy. He's right. So I was just watching the episode of Four Corners from this week, which is now available on YouTube, which was getting very interesting. I was only about 20 minutes into it when I had to go live, but was just reading in the comments because I hadn't got yet to the Ruby Princess part, but there's an interesting bit of information that came out in the Four Corners episode that I definitely want to finish listening to it because it's juicy. The other thing I did mean to do before going live, and I completely forgot, was to have a listen again to today's episode of the CoronaCast podcast because they were discussing the latest diagnosis positive test result of a woman in Queensland that they think is linked to the Ruby Princess. And Dr. Norman Swan did explain it, and I wish I'd taken notes this morning or re-listen to it. I will listen to it again. But he had a pretty good explanation that, yes, it definitely could be linked. He was talking about incubation, that people can get it and then be asymptomatic and then go into a little period of recovery and then potentially it flares up again because it's just been incubating. There are plenty of stories that you can find on YouTube in particular of people that are now well over 60 days and still testing positive. So, yeah, a bit freaky considering what they disembarked in March and it's now May, nearly the end of. This bug is creepy. How's everyone doing tonight? Let's see what's going on Facebook. I've got a bit of possible muting to do there too. Although actually I don't because I haven't heard myself beaming out of anywhere. So I think Facebook's quite cool in that they automatically mute you. So, yeah, I've got my YouTube, my Facebook page open and now back. G'day, Ruth. And thank you for the flowers, Mel, if you're still around. So, yeah, a few things to chat about tonight. In particular, this little bombshell that apparently was dropped in the Four Corners show. There may have been more than one. I just was reading some of the comments under the video and one of them just stood out to me. So we're going to have a little chat about that. Then we're going to talk about this woman in Queensland who's tested positive and they are linking her to the Ruby Princess. She was a passenger on the Ruby Princess. Then we're going to have a little chat about the latest debacle with a ship in Western Australia and what's going on over there, a live export ship with, I think, 6 or 9 crew members all infected with COVID-19 being allowed to disembark. Sound familiar? Also, I did find an article, thanks to Four Corners. It's kind of, I think, a bit of a summary of what they covered on Four Corners this week. I don't have commercial TV. The TV behind me is Netflix only. Oh, and there's Biscuit ready to start her shift in the bar sometime soon, if anyone wants a drink. And there's no news or updates from the Commission that we've been following. So, yeah, a bit to chat about. But good to have you here. And I know some people are probably eating dinner right now. That's perfectly fine if you want to replay this. And thank you and welcome to anyone who is watching the replay of this. We're up to what? Episode 13. We're actually up to episode 14. I need to re-upload. Hi, Cherie. How you doing, gorgeous? I do need to do some editing on one episode and re-upload it as well. I've also started writing a really great chronology. I'm going to make a little chronology video. And I've also started really scanning, looking for passenger testimonies or statements because I'm finding consistent patterns there which, is pretty good that they're all remembering the same stuff happened. But the Four Corners show is really interesting. If you're into this story, I recommend you watch it if you haven't already, because it looks into the Diamond Princess in a lot of detail at the start. And considering that was all happening back in January, and it's the same cruise liner or cruise line, the fact that there were cruises pottering around even back then, experts were saying, yeah, probably not a great idea. And then, of course, they had people testing positive on the Diamond Princess, and we all know what a debacle that was. In fact, Australia's first COVID-19 fatality, James Kwan, who was a Western Australian, he was a passenger on the Diamond Princess. So, yeah, it's quite interesting. There's footage of them on the ship and what was going on, even when coronavirus was floating around. Or COVID-19. It's pretty interesting stuff. And I'm going to watch the rest of it when I finish this, because, like I said, there's a few little bombshells. And g'day to everyone over on Facebook. So the bombshell that stood out to me, where is it? So in the episode of Four Corners on the ABC, stated that the cruise, the fated cruise, the one that got into Sydney very late on the 18th of March and allowed passengers to disembark on the 19th, that particular cruise, its departure was delayed because New South Wales authorities were on board doing COVID swabs of passengers before they let that prior cruise disembark. So as a result of that, when all of the ones on the fated cruise boarded, the departure was already delayed because New South Wales authorities had been on the ship doing COVID-19 swabs. So why this stands out is the focus really has been on who let them disembark. But now the question is also who let them all get on. So, is this the New South Wales Premier's responsibility, her department's, Border Force? Whose responsibility? If New South Wales authorities were doing COVID-19 swabs on passengers that were on that returning cruise before they let the new lot all embark, yeah, wasn't expecting that. So I am going to finish watching Four Corners. I started taking notes. I'm fascinated by it. There was a lot of information that suggests that, this criminal negligence theory could be proven quite easily. So, yeah, I don't know if anyone watched it and you want to weigh in on that. Also, always more than happy if anyone wants to jump up on panel and chat about it. Mark over on Facebook, big cover-up, motherfuckers with 3 angry faces. You're right, dude. You are right. Huge cover-up. And, like we've said from the start, everyone that's had the finger pointed at them has admitted that it was a huge stuff-up, but then they've passed the buck to somebody else. But I think that's a really interesting twist that this inquiry really will need to dig into as well is, yeah, it wasn't just letting them all off the ship on the 19th of March. It was even letting them on the ship to commence the cruise after previous passengers on the previous cruise were being tested for COVID-19 by New South Wales authorities. And as a result of that, there were delays and the wreck of the Ruby Princess cruise was still allowed to head off into the sunset. I've got a really itchy nose again. I'm so sorry. COVID-19, stop touching your face. Yep, go live on YouTube and for some reason your nose gets itchy. So what I'm going to do first is we'll have a little look at the woman in Queensland. I mean, not a look at her literally, but the latest story. Like I said, on CoronaCast this morning, the question was raised, how can we still have people from the Ruby Princess testing positive? And Dr. Swan was talking about incubation. There was a previous case, a positive test a couple of weeks ago that we talked about in one of the last episodes. And in that particular one, he was talking about how it's part of a chain as well. But with this particular woman, they do think it is directly linked. So that's kind of scary that they were on a cruise in March, got off in Sydney on the 19th of March, and now on the 27th of May, she's, or this week, has returned a positive test. So just a little bit of information about that. This article was from yesterday morning. And she was diagnosed the day before and was a passenger on board the Ruby Princess, which had docked in Sydney 68 days ago. Now, authorities are trying to determine whether she caught COVID-19 on the ship or whether it was a community transmission. But the understood likely that it was directly related to the Ruby Princess. They're all saying that the Queensland Premier and numerous other folk. So that's a bit interesting, isn't it? Seeing what the Queensland toll is now, 1,057 with 12 active cases. So, there's not a lot of detail at the moment. And, yeah, I regret not replaying CoronaCast and just taking down some notes about what Dr. Swan said. But there are a lot of stories out there showing that this thing can incubate and be in your system for a long time. The two videos I watched the other day, one girl was from Byron Bay and she was on day 61, I think, when I watched it. And that was maybe 10 days ago or a week ago. So, yeah. And then I was walking on the beach one day, I went live on my other channel and we were chatting and someone else came up with it, some other person that's like up to day 70 or something. So, or would be well past that now. So that's a bit interesting. Nobody had the balls to say no. Yeah, because it's all about the money, isn't it? It's all about coin. All about coin. Mel, what are you cooking? Well, I know you're cooking, so you probably can't tell me, but I want to know, A, how the pork went last night or the night. When was the pork? When did I go live? What was I doing? I'm going live tomorrow night, everyone, too, on my other channel right now with Tori. We're doing keto cauliflower soup, which I've made before, and it's delicious, and also some keto bread rolls to go with it. Exactly, maybe positive for a long time before testing. And yeah, when I found the article about her, I was trying to see if there was any indication that she'd been tested previously, but she was definitely diagnosed on Monday night. So I might just see if I can find an update. This is why governments and our governments, both federal and state, keep talking about how important it is for people to get tested, because if it is able to just hang around in your body for that long, and, the only way they're going to stop community transmission is for people to be tested, right? There's even, while I just typed in about her, there's another article that's come up. Let me just click on this. A woman diagnosed with coronavirus 80 days ago, still showing symptoms. Okay, so there's a bit more info here about the Queensland. Now, there's two new coronavirus cases in Queensland that a link to the Ruby Princess. Interesting. The Cairns woman that we're talking about, she tested positive and had been on the ship. It is understood it's most likely she contracted it while on board the vessel, meaning she had carried it latent for some 10 weeks before showing symptoms. Oh, sorry. The other one was the woman that just got back from India. We were chatting about that on the beach yesterday when I went on my beach walk. And it follows a similar mysterious case of a Queensland woman who travelled in India 2 months ago, but she only tested positive last week. So how do these cases align with the 14-day incubation time frame relied on by health authorities as the danger period, and could they be unexplained anomalies? So they are saying it is an incredibly rare abnormality, and that's been voiced by a virologist at the University of Queensland of the name Ian McKay, saying, yeah, that it is rare. There can be abnormalities in biology. The majority of credible research still suggests relying on an incubation timeline of 14 days is the most accurate approach. And then there's also a bit of information about a woman who was diagnosed in March, was sick for about 2 weeks, and then started testing negative. But she's got some serious health issues now. And they're just chatting about how fast it's growing around the world. US exceeded 1 million. We know that one. That was a shocker. Yeah. So there you go. Hopefully it doesn't become the norm. What if this thing mutates and it starts to be, like a 100-day incubating or latent virus? It's fascinating and terrifying. Well, not in a run away and hide kind of way, but just it's just full on, because everyone's just sort of learning about it as it happens. And yeah, it's already showing it's quite a surprising virus. I am again, lovable rogue. I am live again. What a treat. Crumbed lamb chops with veggies and some crumb sausages for hubby's lunches. Good work, Mel. Some people take a long time to get rid of an infection. This is true, Cherie. This is very true. And it's not like we've got medicine that can accelerate your recovery. Lovable Rogue had a viral infection 5 years ago, hospitalized for 2 weeks, ended up with your own antibodies attacking your heart. Holy shit. I'm glad you survived it, Lovable Rogue. Life wouldn't be nearly as sunny without you in it. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up, guys. Look at me promoting myself. So if anyone does want to come up and chat, if you're following it too, you are more than welcome to. I'll pop the link to the YouTube stream. If anyone on Facebook feels like coming over and saying g'day, you will be asked to create a YouTube channel, but it takes no time at all. And you're not signing your life away. You don't have to put anything on a YouTube channel. For some reason, you just have to create one so that you're authenticated and you can talk in the chat on the YouTube side of things. Mark says he didn't finish his message. He can't finish too many reds. Well, good to see you, mate. Keep the borders closed, but open up your own state. SA and Tas can't afford it. Apparently more chances winning the lotto than catching corona. Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, maybe in Australia, Mark, I think you could be right, but I don't know. I mean, you look at the US, they've gone over 1 million cases. How many lotto winners do they get in 4 months? I'm not great at maths, but that would be the obvious way to compare it. Do they have over 1 million Tats Lotto winners in a 4-month period? I don't know, but I don't know. I mean, keep the borders closed, but open up your own state. SA and Tas can't afford it. Well, at the moment, I guess I'm happy to be in a state where the borders are closed until further notice, because we're on a teeny-weeny island and we can keep our borders closed. Yeah, I'm all for keeping borders closed. I loved the WA Premier the other day copying shit about the borders staying closed over there. And he was copying shit from New South Wales. And he's like, yeah, well, I'm not going to be bullied or picked on by the state that let the Ruby Princess disembark. So not listening. In fact, our Premier also told the other states to pull their heads in too about us keeping the borders closed here. I mean, we're on a little island, so if it does end up that there's a 6-month period and nobody tests positive for it, then it would be safe to say, you would hope, unless one of those weird latent sleeping coronavirus carrying humans was on the island, but this island could potentially be free of it, as long as the borders are closed. But I know that's a slightly idealistic view. We're dealing with a very contagious, sneaky little fucker of a thing, and there'll always be someone that, comes home and doesn't do quarantine. And did you know the word quarantine actually literally means 40 days? Not 14, 40. Where's the story about Peter Gutwein, the Tasmanian Premier, took on Pauline Hanson.
There's growing pressure on...
Thank you, Peter Overton. And urging his counterparts in terms, the other premiers to end the one-upmanship, because Pauline Hanson's threatening the Queensland government with legal action unless they move to reopen the border with New South Wales. And then some of the other premiers have been, sort of saying the rest of the premiers are being overly conservative, and premiers like Peter Gutwein have been saying, piss off, don't stop all the one-upmanship, it's entirely up to each state what they want to do. It looks like we could get some of our restrictions lifted ahead of schedule before the proposed June long weekend. But in terms of borders, that we're not, I don't think, well, he's publicly stated several times that he's not doing anything about borders till at least July. So, he was kind of telling them all to pull their heads in. And yet, I mean, what did Scott Morrison called on state and territory leaders to justify closing borders, insisting they should be removed as soon as possible. But, say what you want, ScoMo. Pauline Hanson is one of those twits who's comparing coronavirus to COVID-19 to the flu and saying the flu is a lot worse. How many times do people have to have this clapped out to them? We don't have 12 months of data yet of COVID-19 to compare to the number of people who died. Like in Australia, more than 900 people died of the flu in a 12-month period. Yes, we've had 102, and that's an incredibly low number, and largely because of the measures that were taken here. We had the benefit of learning from Italy and Spain and America and England and China even. So, we've done well, but if these sort of second, and now they're talking about third, fourth, fifth, sixth waves, I guess that's just the way a coronavirus mutates or whatever. But, it's quite possible we will exceed that, because you look at the states where people there were saying exactly the same thing. And I think it was over a month ago now that the COVID-19 deaths exceeded the annual deaths for the flu. So in a country that's really had an explosion of coronavirus or COVID-19 countrywide, when you look at it like that, COVID-19 is killing a shitload more people. So, I can't understand why anyone is comparing the two, because they can't be compared yet. Yes, at the moment, with Australia on 102 COVID-19 deaths and over 900 flu deaths, it does look like the flu is worse. But the only reason the figure is so low, like I said, is because we got onto it. We had the benefit and the advantage of not getting it as quickly as other parts of the world. And we were able to learn from other scientists and doctors about what the fuck it was up to. So, yeah. But even down to because she was also saying, we don't shut down borders for the flu. Well, the flu, compared to what people who've had really shitty bouts of COVID-19, any video you switch on YouTube and watch with someone who's had COVID-19. Within the first minute or two of that video, they will say, oh, initially I thought I was getting a flu, and then I realized it was way worse than any flu I've ever had. So even if you're talking comparing the two in terms of what it's like to have it, I'd be putting my hand up for the flu every single time. Every time. And the flu sucks. You feel like you're dying when you've got the flu. Imagine these, people with COVID-19 are saying it's a million times worse. Holy shit. It doesn't sound like fun. But you keep comparing them, Pauline, you twit. Oh, yeah, have fun on the beach with the grandkids, lovable rogue. Yeah, well, let's move on to that, Cherie, the Western Australian border. We'll move on to that one. Tassie, hi, Deb. How you doing, gorgeous? Tassie is doing a great job. She does need to chat to ICU staff, and that's the thing. I think a lot of people's opinions, I mean, I'm fascinated by it, and I'm reading and watching as much as I can. I mean, I'm not obsessed with it, but I'm fascinated by it. And I think it's really important that you primarily, if you get into this and you're interested, listen to frontline workers, but also listen to people who've had it. Listen to what they say about it. There's no point. I mean, I can sit here. The people that are, I can sit here and form a solid opinion and not budge and go, oh, it's not as bad as the flu. Well, I mean, I'd be a fucking idiot for thinking that, because A, it sounds like it's way worse, and B, in countries that didn't get the restrictions in place and didn't have the benefit of time like we did, where the deaths are now well past what the annual figure for deaths from the flu is, how can you possibly say it's not as bad as the flu? But yeah, ICU staff, some of their stories, and also the incredible loss. We've lost so many doctors and nurses around the world. Like Australia, I don't think we've lost a medical professional, but when you look at Spain, where they've lost, I think, close to 70 doctors now, I mean, that's a huge chunk of highly intelligent, well-trained people. It's just heartbreaking. And the fact that they get up and go to work every day. My mate in England, who's a nurse, had a chat with him, and he's like, I wish people would stop calling us heroes, because this is the job we signed up for. This is what we do. And we've always done this. We just haven't had the same amount of publicity. But he's, like every other person I know who's a nurse or doctor, it's like, it's my job. It's what I do. But to actually be going to work every day, especially imagine like in a hospital in New York, some of the hospitals in Italy, well, wherever it's going ballistic, it would be very scary going to work. Very scary, I would think. I don't know how you could just, it's my job, off I go. Like, it would have to bother you. You'd have to think about it, especially if you're losing colleagues to it. And yeah, Mel, you're right. It's not leaving people with horrific after effects. Where's that story I was just looking at? The long-term damage. So this is a woman in Brisbane. She's had months of ongoing painful symptoms. She's been retested for the 9th time. I mean, even the test is painful, like having a whopping great wooden swab inserted through your nose and right down to the back of your throat. I mean, I can't handle it when the doctor or dentist puts something on my tongue. The thought of it, I know it's quick and whatever, but still, yuck, 9 times. And she continues to test negative with all of these tests. However, she's got full-on lethargy, which has been referenced a lot. They're sort of saying, is this causing chronic fatigue-like illnesses that you'll never recover from? Constant tightness of the chest. She's got nasally, headaches, body aches, adrenal glands aren't working, exhaustion. She's having all these blood tests, x-rays, and echo test on her heart to try and eliminate and see what's going on. And there's another, Professor McKay, he's saying that there's much evidence of patients getting the virus a second time. Yeah, and it's essentially an infection that can take a very long time to heal. So, yeah, this virus isn't mucking around, people. It's not like the fucking flu. Maddie! She is a twat, Pauline. How you doing, mate? Matt over on Facebook. Pauline Hanson is a twat, not a twit. She's both. I can't see chat in Facebook. If I open it up, it all goes really loud and weird. I'm only getting a few comments that I can see. How many days of free cases till we get back to normal? You mean like how many days? Yeah, look, I don't know. And so how long till we're the lowest till we all go break? And that's obviously something that's impacting every decision that's been made about this. But it's in terms of recovery, economic recovery, I don't know. That's not my area of expertise. I wouldn't have a clue. But in terms of the people that are saying it's all the governments of the world, it's a conspiracy and they all got together and conspired to do this. It's like, why? Why would every country in the world decide to get involved in this and essentially destroy the global economy and put all of these countries into recession for fuck knows how long? Like, if someone can explain to me why every country on the planet would be putting their hands up to get involved in spreading this thing that would essentially cripple their economies possibly for decades. I mean, it just makes no sense to me. So, but in terms of how we get out of this, I don't know. I don't know how much money governments have at their disposal, and I've got no idea. The whole thing's unraveling like a fascinating and scary and mesmerizing story. And yeah, but the economic side of it, I probably could start looking at that, but I'm fascinated by this cruise ship of doom. Not saying that. What the fuck? I might have missed your point, Mark. Chill, dude. Chill. I got another what the fuck from you. Sorry, Mark. I can't see. I can see how many days of free cases till we get back to normal. Well, I don't know. They're lucky to still have a job. I'm assuming you're talking about our nurses and doctors. But in terms of the other stuff, I wasn't directly responding to you through all of that. I was just saying in terms of, I don't know, the economic side of it. If I've got it wrong, explain to me rather than just putting what the fuck, because I don't know what your issue is. I didn't call you an idiot or anything like that, so I'm not quite sure why I'm getting what the fucks. Luckily, I know you and me can afford to last this. Yeah, I love you. Good, thank you, dude. I was like, what are the fucks for? And you've got such a cute, innocent little profile pic. It doesn't suit the comment. Yeah, I consider myself incredibly fortunate that I'm not dealing with a business closing down or anything like that. And that I haven't lost my job. Like it's a horrible situation for everyone in some way or shape or form, because I guess if you're oh no, I wasn't accusing you of the conspiracy thing. No, that was me branching off on a chat where I go, sorry, I probably should clarify when I go off on a tangent, because no, there are conspiracy theorists saying that this is a global conspiracy and all these countries have agreed to assist in the spread of this thing. And these people are also, some of them are the extremists who think that, it was man-made in labs in various parts of the world and it was all meant to be released on different days from different labs and so on. But my point with that I wasn't directly linking that to your comment at all, Mark. It was just a tangent I went off of, because I cannot understand why anyone would be spreading that theory, because where's the logic in it? But rewinding back to the other thing, it will impact everyone, because I guess people that are working, at some point taxes are going to have to go up, right? I mean, I'm not, like I said, I don't have a great brain for economics, But wouldn't that be a logical thing to do? Possibly bump up some tax? And they're not going to be able to bump up the top tier of tax earners because they're kind of already taxed to the max. So they're going to be going for the lesser income folk. That makes sense to me, but I could be wrong. I'm totally 100% could be wrong. But I just wonder if that is a possible outcome. Thumbs up. Thanks, Groover. I'll jump back over to StreamYards. I am going to go to this Western Australian story. So delusional conspiracy. You only have to look at some leaders to know they're desperate for answers and a vaccine and or treatments. Got comments on like super large. Hang on a sec. Oh, I don't know how to change that. No. Can never find it when you need it. There is a minimal. There we go. Okay. But yeah, the vaccine thing's interesting too. I mean, there isn't a vaccine for the common cold, and the flu vaccine can't keep up with the new strains of flu. So I think we're a bit optimistic if we're thinking they're going to be a vaccine. I've got a lot of people in my life who have huge faith in a vaccine being developed. I'm being cautiously not pessimistic, very conservatively, slightly optimistic. I don't know. All right, so let's go to the Western Australian stuff. Now, I'm not going to touch on my feelings at all about live export ships, but this is a live export ship story. I'm just focusing on what the fuck happened. So some of you may be aware of this because it was a hot topic in the news. I think possibly late last night the story broke, and it was all over everywhere today. The article I'm reading is from nearly 10 a.m. this morning, but it was updated 4 hours ago. So an export ship that was carrying crew that were infected with the coronavirus was allowed to dock in Fremantle on May the 23rd, and 6 of the 48 crew have tested positive to COVID-19. The ship is called the Al Kuwait, and it's a live export ship. And the sick crew members are all in hotel quarantine in Perth, and then other crew members are still on the ship. But it's also sparked a fight between Perth and Canberra. The Western Australian government accused Commonwealth authorities of failing to tell the Fremantle Ports Authority that crew members were unwell while the ship was en route from the United Arab Emirates. And the Western Australian Premier, it says here, an angry Premier, Mark McGowan, demanded the federal government explain why state health officials found out by word of mouth from a Fremantle port worker. Like, this is just blowing my mind. How do you guys feel about this? I was on the beach today chatting about it. I think it was Lady Pegasus who was like, didn't we learn from the Ruby Princess? How has this happened? So here again, we've got a state government pointing the finger at Canberra and the Commonwealth government, the federal government, but accusing Commonwealth authorities of failing to tell the Fremantle Ports Authority that crew members were unwell on the ship. So obviously that would be a usual procedure for Premier Mark McGowan to be saying that. And that state health officials in Western Australia found out by word of mouth from a Fremantle port worker. On Wednesday, he was forced to back down. So this is the update. He was forced to back down after Federal Agricultural Minister David Littleproud, and here's the Agriculture Department again, because that got mentioned in the Ruby Princess, who could be guilty and responsible for this. They were named. He released an email sent to Western Australian health officials about the status of the crew on the Al Kuwait on May the 23rd. And then he said that it was the Western Australian state authorities that didn't act on it till Monday. And then Mr. McGowan says he didn't have that information on Tuesday. He said the email noted no concerns about COVID-19 on the ship and did not request assistance from state authorities. That email had also been sent after the federal department had already granted approval for the ship to berth in Fremantle. I think this raises some issues that need to be addressed. That's not me saying that, but I agree. I agree with Premier McGowan. There've clearly been some errors made all round. We can and must do better, and we will. I think I don't know about you guys. I just think that the Ruby Princess, it's not okay to say we can and will do better anymore. Like, you have to do best, right? You have to do your absolute best. You can't. It's not okay in May. Oh, we can and will do better. No. You fucking should have done your very best. Your very, very best. Unbelievable. McGowan went on to say the email should have raised red flags inside the WA Department of Health. Yeah, no kidding. We all know that the greatest risk to Western Australia at the moment is from people entering our state from overseas or from interstate. We have to be more vigilant. I mean, I don't know the process, but I'm assuming that a Commonwealth authority based in Canberra is watching all the ships around the world that are heading to Australian shores, and they're corresponding and communicating with the ships and getting information that then passed on to the respective state where the ship is going to berth. Is this where are you guys going this way too? Is this what's happening? So if you're in Western Australia and Fremantle and you've got a whopping great ship coming towards you and you check your emails and there's nothing from Canberra, wouldn't you be getting on the phone to Canberra to ask where the fucking email is? Does that make logical sense? You wouldn't just be like, oh, welcome and disembark and then, oh, shit. I don't know. I mean, earlier, there's still more to this article. I'll see what everyone's saying so far. Serenity B, Angela, how you doing? And thank you to everyone too, welcoming Deb too. I think, Deb, this is your second time over on YouTube now, or is it your first? I can't remember. Mel, the stupidest shit I've heard. I was so fond of your Premier too when he was saying to the cruise ships, dogged off Fremantle. He's like, fuck off from wherever you came. Go. We don't want you here. Piss off. I quite liked him. And then I also liked him. What did he do the other day? We were chatting about it in a live only the other day. He did something else that I thought was really, really cool. But that, so far, that article, and we will jump back over to it. It is the stupidest shit I've heard too, Mel. But, yeah, welcome Serenity and Angela as well. Deb, what if people are asymptomatic for COVID-19? You mean like in this sort of ship scenario? Well, interesting question. I mean, that's the problem with this shitter of a virus, right? Is that's why it spread so rapidly because, there were asymptomatic people and they, like the guy that went to the wedding in Sydney that created that cluster of 38, right back when COVID-19 figures started to start going up in Australia. And he was asymptomatic. And he said, I wouldn't have gone to that wedding if I'd felt unwell. Like, based on what people are saying, what it's like when you get COVID-19, if I felt sick, I wouldn't have been up to going to a wedding. But that's the downside of it. But I'm curious, what's the deal with asymptomatic people, like, say, me, not showing any symptoms, but you still would test positive? So I guess that's just the little glitch of it, because back when a lot of people were getting sick, all these asymptomatic people were rocking up to be tested and they didn't have it and they were wasting everyone's time in the tests as well. But, I mean, that's just part of the sneaky nature of this virus. But when you've actually got confirmed cases on a boat, different story. You are a YouTube like a virgin. The big crack rears its head. Is that in the story, Cherie, that you're talking about? Or who is the big crack? I'm going to get to the bottom of chat because it's easier to. Nothing makes sense. I agree. Perhaps the ship was given a special exemption to arrive, like the lady from Victor SA, and no tests or questions asked. I think there were questions asked with the SA woman, weren't they? I mean, I think she had to pass some kind of conditions to be allowed to do it. I don't think it was just like some random person was just sent from one state to another without any clearance. Or was it? Or is it another person? I don't even where's that story? Is that something I skimmed over before when I was looking on this website to see if there are any updates on the Ruby Princess a little while ago? Mark's calming down with a Scotch finger. Apparently WA or another country. Well, yeah, anyway, I'll continue with this article for a sec because they're now talking about the maritime unions weighing in. Everyone is. That's what I love about the Ruby Princess saga. And this ship, I wasn't going to talk about it because I didn't feel like I knew enough about it. And I was also worried I'd get on my pedestal about live exports. But, and I might be pro or anti, you don't know. But, so I didn't kind of want to go down this road, but now I'm kind of like, yeah, I can't avoid this because this is sort of like, what lessons did you learn from the Ruby Princess? So the Maritime Union had called for every seafarer on board the Al Kuwait to be tested for COVID-19. Make sure that the highest priority is their welfare, not to get the ship away from the wharf. International Transport Workers Federation National Coordinator Dean Summers told ABC Radio today. These glasses need a clean. Contact tracing is underway for the port workers who are in isolation, and Mr. McGowan has said he expects more crew to test positive. He wants the vessel to set sail as soon as possible. Now, look, I thought he was funny when he was saying about the cruise ships, piss off, I want you to set sail as soon as possible. But, dude, this is a massive fuck up. You're saying that you expect more people to test positive on the ship in addition to the current 6 who have all been confirmed to have COVID-19. You've got a crew of 48 and now you're like, fuck off. Off you go. It's not going to work because that's what happened with the Ruby Princess. Remember how long it was sitting in Port Kembla and wouldn't leave in case there was a massive breakout on the ship, another breakout, and they needed to be close to a hospital to get all these sick people, innocent sick people, off this boat to a hospital for treatment. So, sorry, you can't be waving that ship goodbye right now because there could be people requiring hospital treatment. They'll have to get an order like they did in New South Wales to force the ship to leave, but it'll be weeks before that happens. Mr. Littleproud, and I'm just going to scroll back up so I can give you his exact title. He's the Agriculture Department dude. He's the Federal Agriculture Minister, David Littleproud. He said the ship would not be able to return to the Middle East before June the 1st Northern Summer live export deadline, implemented after the 2019 Oasi Express mass sheep death scandal. Okay, so hang on. He said the ship would not be able to return to the Middle East before June the 1st. So, yeah. He said, he did say the independent regulator, which is his own department, could grant an exemption. As far as I know, they're ready to sail. But that can only happen after 2 things. Firstly, there's a deep clean of the boat, and B, the crew are healthy enough to do that. And that's exactly the grounds that the Ruby Princess hung around for as well. The Maritime Union of Australia said the controversy showed the regulatory failures that allowed the Ruby Princess cruise ship to dock in Sydney, causing the nation's biggest coronavirus cluster, had still not been properly addressed. The dreadful lack of coordination between federal and state agencies demonstrates that the lessons of the Ruby Princess debacle still haven't been learned, National Secretary Paddy Crumlin said. Opposition leader Anthony Albanese, look at all these people weighing in. But opposition leader, we'll see the opposition, they've been ripping, like the New South Wales opposition and the federal opposition have been ripping into the governments quite viciously, which has been a good read. But opposition leader Anthony Albanese said the federal government was responsible for borders, and it was quite extraordinary that they've been prepared to walk away from that. Home Affairs Minister Peter Dutton is always trying to claim credit for controlling the borders, except when it's not convenient. Boom. Mic drop. Good work, Anthony Albanese. It's about time this government actually took responsibility for events that occur on its watch. Yeah. So, another wreck. The wreck of the Al Kuwait. Season 2 of Smooth Criminal Podcast, special episodes on fucked up ships, starting on a decent channel near you. Hey, Josh B over in Facebook land. Mark, just on a lighter note, what's the difference between a chickpea and a lentil? I've never had a lentil on my face. Oh, my God. Are you sure you're just eating Scotch fingers? Did you say you were drinking a few reds as well? Okay, back to StreamYards. She filled out a form, moved from quarantine early and not ISO and SA. Right, where's this story? I did see it. I don't know where though. But yeah, I did read something. I skimmed over something. We've got wedding wars. We've got Navara venues refusing to hand over deposits for cancelled weddings. South Australia, 1 total active case. SA's done so well. Australians told no reason to fill up with premium petrol. Here's an article from 48 minutes ago. The crew from the Al Kuwait cargo ship have been moved into hotel quarantine. 3 buses have arrived at Fremantle Port as the operation to remove 27 workers from the Al Kuwait begins. Okay, so they took 6 off yesterday. They're taking another 27, so that's 33, and it's got a total crew of 48. They are being quarantined at the Novotel Hotel in Perth. And they're in the buses as we speak. Newsflash. I got the scoop. Only half of Americans would get the COVID-19 vaccine if one became available, according to a new poll. McDonald's is selling hand sanitizers for $3.50. Oh, that meat abattoir in Cedar Meats in Victoria, they're reopening tomorrow. That was a big cluster. That was like over 100 people. There you go. There's a wage freeze for public servants. See, what was I saying before about the economical stuff? More taxes. I guess I didn't think of that. Freezing wages. We've got a Ridges hotel staff member who's tested positive in the Melbourne CBD. I don't know where I saw it. The push for the Trans-Tasman bubble gathers momentum. I'm down for this. Let's get ourselves to New Zealand. Bring it on. The Gold Coast show public holidays likely to be moved to another date. Mandatory temperature checks at McDonald's have been called preposterous. 11 new cases in Australia overnight. Oh, here's more on the ship, the Al Kuwait. Yeah, I don't know. I'm moving on from that woman. I thought she had to fill out something. I could be wrong. Mel, leave my boring state alone. Sorry, Mel. I just found another article. The ship. So, Attorney General Christian Porter has defended the handling of a live export ship docked in Fremantle, which has seen 6 crew members test positive to coronavirus. This will be interesting. There were reports of ill crew on the Al Kuwait vessel late last week, but appears no action was taken until yesterday. Mr. Porter denied there'd been a breakdown in communication between federal and state authorities. I think there are known protocols. That's a word I was thinking of before, not processes, protocols. At the federal level, particularly inside the Department of Agriculture, we do not do medical assessments of crew. We have a responsibility when we become aware to notify state authorities there may be an issue in respect to the health of the crew, and that's what we did. But didn't the Premier say that email arrived after they'd got off the ship, after they'd docked? And this is just like the Ruby Princess all over again, but a smaller number of people, thank God. That's what we did. There may have been some views put yesterday that didn't happen, but it did happen. The federal authorities notified their state counterparts, just as they should do, just as the process should work. I'm not quite sure why it was the case a statement was made that it didn't happen, because it did happen. All right, so there's the Attorney General, Christian Porter. Well, hang on a sec. Let's go back to that other article. Did we not just read that? I mean, admittedly, the Attorney General's statement has come out since this article was updated. Yep. But I don't know how this changes the details or the facts, if these are correct. But where's the sentence about the email? And you've got the Premier going, yeah, we fucked up. We can do better. We can do better. Right, so Mark McGowan, this back to the paragraph where he's angry, demanded the federal government explain why state health officials found out by word of mouth from the Freo port worker. However, he was forced to back down today after Federal Agriculture Minister David Littleproud released an email sent to WA health officials about the status of crew of the Al Kuwait on May the 23rd. And Mr. Littleproud said state authorities did not act on the emails until Monday, because the 23rd was on the weekend, right? Mr. McGowan said he didn't have that information on Tuesday. He said the email noted no concerns about COVID-19 on the ship and did not request assistance from state authorities. That email had also been sent after the federal department had already granted approval for the ship to berth in Fremantle. So who's the bullshitter here? The Premier of Western Australia or the Attorney General? God. I don't know. Can I take on the wreck of the Al Kuwait as well as a sideshow and this alley of fuck ups? It's mind-boggling. I just think we're just your everyday punters wandering around Australia, just going for little strolls on the beach and cooking dinner and chatting to friends on Zoom. And we all think the Ruby Princess thing was a major fuck up and people probably needed to not fuck up again. And here we are 10 weeks later, another fuck up. And we're not in positions of authority that could have done anything about this. Like, how can it be such a logical thing to a layperson, and yet here we are? Like, don't you think every other state of Australia has been loving the fact that we're not New South Wales, except obviously if you are New South Wales? Like, haven't you been kind of happy that the Ruby Princess didn't disembark where you live. I know I am. And we've had deaths in Tasmania from Ruby Princess passengers. But we get a lot of cruise ships down here. And, yeah, it wouldn't have surprised me if it had disembarked here either. So haven't we all been a little bit proud that we weren't the state that the entire country and now planet, because people have died from it overseas? Wasn't it kind of cool to say, hey, not our problem, we didn't do the fuck up? You just wouldn't want to take it on. So I don't know. Will there be an inquiry into the Al-Kuwait? Let's Al-Kuwait and see. Okay. Serenity B. We'll check out Macca's hand sanitizer, paid $5. Right. You got yours today from Macca's or where? Because what was that article? $2, $3.50. I'll just scroll down and just see if there's anything else. See, I see articles about the ACX and banks and stuff, and I just keep scrolling. The pandemic's making us more sustainable. Police and nurses included in that public service pay freeze, by the way. Oh, and this is what one of my subs was chatting about today, that all these shipping, like a shipping container and surgical masks washing up on beaches on the New South Wales Central Coast. We had our youngest COVID-19 death too in Queensland, 30-year-old man. A rare sight in the Melbourne CBD, a plane flying over. And then you've got New South Wales Premier, we can't let our guard down. Oh, listen to you telling us all that. This is a tweet of hers, of Gladys Berejiklian today. We can't let our guard down. COVID-19 is highly contagious. Oh, how quickly you forgot that you let people that have this highly contagious thing get off a ship in your town. Oh, I can't deal with it. Right. Anyway, I'm going to go back and find the Macca's thing. I don't do Macca's. Okay, so customers will now be able to purchase a 50ml bottle of hand sanitizer for $3.50 at any McDonald's restaurant in Australia. Each store in the country will receive about 200 units with 100% profits going towards Ronald McDonald House charities. That's good of them. Not sure about Tassie, but Adelaide is fucked. Death taxes. While the premiers trying to outdo each other. Oh, well, exactly, Mark. And that's, the Tasmanian premier's like, can we all stop the one-upping? Not sure about Tassie, but Adelaide is fucked. Yeah, your economy wasn't looking good. Tassie's kind of interesting. If you listen to our premier, you should jump into one of his press conferences, because we had the fastest, we had the best performing economy in the country before COVID-19 struck. So although he's very conscious of the economic impacts of it, he was also the treasurer in our state government for a long time before my brother pulled the pin on being premier, and Peter Gutton became our new premier. And I've got to say that he's done a great job, but it's also really good to have a smart man who understands economics and so on running the state right now. But he doesn't seem, when he's questioned in press conferences, he's not blowing it off, but he doesn't seem to be, I don't want to use words that'll end up biting me in the bum. It's not that he's not overly concerned. There's definitely concern, but he's not kind of going live every day well, he doesn't go live every day now anyway. He did go with Jorals. It became my favourite TV show, my favourite character, and it was Steve the Auslan guy. But Yeah, it's obviously of great concern, but I feel that it's not as, I don't know. I don't know how to. I don't know what I don't. I'm not going to go into politics too much because it'll get held against me. But I feel good that we've got a premier who understands it, because I don't. But Tassie relies on tourism so much. So, there's a real push here. There always has been, to buy Tasmanian. And, if this sort of local tourism starts to get more and more busy, I mean, I don't know if we've got the capacity to sustain the state, but if this trans-Tasman thing, if we get to travel between Tasmania and New Zealand, I expect we'll get quite a lot of tourists coming back, even from New Zealand. And an article that I read for print radio this week, who I do volunteering for, was that Fiji is really keen to get involved in the bubble if it's possible, and also Indonesia. And Indonesia was saying, but only in places where they've managed to get it under control. And Bali was the one that they mentioned. So there could be a little bit of travel if it's bringing tourists around. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Thanks, Groover. Yeah, he's. I think everywhere's. I think you'd have to be concerned about the economy everywhere. But I think if we have to brace ourselves for a recession, we've probably got the right premier to be handling that. A bit of Trump bashing. I love that. Comes with a Happy Meal. The sanitizer? Does it come with it? Because that article definitely said that you had to buy it, but all the money goes to Ronald McDonald House. Oh, they've just uploaded. It's just refreshed. There's a photo of Nathan Turner, the 30-year-old who is Australia's youngest COVID-19 fatality. He was a mine worker, but he also had an underlying health condition, a complicated medical history that needs to be worked through. He was at home at the time and he had symptoms for several weeks. So, yeah, young mine worker. And there's a photo of him with his fiancée. Sad. Very sad. But he didn't actually test positive until after he died. I mean, he hadn't been tested before that. World Health Organization is warning the world we are only in the first wave. Infections are on the way up. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. Flu is worse than COVID-19 people. What do we call them? They're deniers. Pauline Hanson. Anyone want to email her that article? Can't wait for you to come over, Mark. It'd be so good to catch up. So good. It'd be really good. I've a lot of people from, I was going to Adelaide for work for 2 weeks for the last few years and caught up with so many people, but I love it, which was great. But I love it too when people from Adelaide finally come to Tassie, because I know I used to crap on all the time about how great Tassie was, and I know you all used to think I was a pain in the ass, but I love it now when people come down and I don't say a word and then they're like, oh, this is actually quite cool. Be good to have you here. God, I love my cooking. I love mine too. Hang on, what's going on? Only takes one rogue case. You're right, Mel. It does. And yes, Serenity B, I do trust politicians. Some of them. I'm from a political family. I can't say. I'm an accidental bystander in a political family. But I can't join the masses and go, all politicians are liars, because I don't think they are. And if I did say it, I've got a family. Actually, I don't have any politicians in my family for the first time in 53 years, other than a 6-month period when my uncle had resigned to run for federal parliament, and my brother was running for the first time for state parliament. So there was still some campaigning in the family going on in that 6 months. But yeah, for 53 years has been a member of my family in parliament. So yeah, I don't mind if people want to do the "they're all liars" thing. I respect any politician for participating in our democratic system. But don't get me wrong, I think there's some seedy as fuck politicians out there, but I can trust some politicians, at least on a personal level. But yeah, that comment about the road case, that's one thing that's so scary. If the wrong person got COVID-19, they could become one of the most efficient mass murderers in the history of humankind and would probably never be caught or traced. My obsession with true crime does make my brain go down roads like that from time to time. And it was like, that is the perfect murder. And now I regret saying it publicly. I hope that no one will see this video. But yeah, the wrong person that gets it, that's scary. You've been making hand sanitizer and that's giving you headaches. My sister gave me one that's made by friends of ours that have got a distillery, and it's a gin distillery, and it's spray. It's a spray bottle, but the only setting it works on is that really sharp, like single line that really like whips you and hurts. You know what I mean? Like, you know how squirt bottles have got different. One of those ones is anywho, and she's like, "Oh, you'll smell the alcohol straight away." And before I'd even squirted it, I was like, "Fuck, it just smells like gin." But I didn't, obviously. But yeah, I reckon the floral scented hand sanitizer. I don't think I don't know. The one at McDonald's might be fine, but I'm not expecting it to be, high end. I got sent the most beautiful one from a girlfriend of mine in northwest Tasmania. She just went into a hairdressing salon or somewhere to get some hair producty, proper shampoos. They're not operating as a salon, but they were still doing sales of product, and grabbed me. She grabbed a few bottles and sent them to some random friends, and I was lucky enough to be one of them, and it's beautiful. It's really lovely. Kmart. Oh God. Oh, that's where you bought yours at today, right? Yeah, I don't care if I've got 2 huge supermarkets in the nearby town, and I have no desire to even go back into supermarkets. I'll happily top up my supplies at the local IGA for the rest of my life. It doesn't bother me. I might have to pay a little bit more, but all the fruit and veg down here, it's all supporting local producers, and yeah. Really interesting. The 30-year-old have been sick for a week. His partner's in hospital. Oh, shit, as are the first responders. Come to the happy meal. Ruth, your brain is drunk. Be nice to Ruth. And then she's like, how did you guess? Yeah, exactly. The stress of being a leader in this time. That's what I mean. Like, there are times where I think you've just got to admire them, because who'd want to do it? Who'd want to be it? Horrible job. It's a thankless job when you don't have to deal with a global pandemic and you get death threats and abuse. But yeah, some of the people in the Premier's press conference, the things that they say, it's like, put your own hand up and run for Parliament, because you can in this country. You do a better job, because you clearly think you could, sitting at home on your computer, mouthing off every 5 seconds. Yeah, who'd want to do it? Not I, said the fly. The idiotic lady caught on surveillance looking items at the supermarket. Yes, trying to spread the virus. Now, interesting you mentioned that, because I do have a COVID-19 special coming up soon for the Smooth Criminal podcast, and there are quite a few liquors included in that episode. I've already written half of it. I'm trying to find, it's hard because I'm trying to find funny crimes for it, and then I just went, no, actually, I'm just going to do crimes, because there's all these, people that have been fined for breaching the minimum number of people, or maximum number of people in your house, and there's the liquors. There's some politicians that have done the wrong thing. Politicians in America, I might add, or in Australia too. Didn't we have the Queensland or New South Wales? Who was he? The one that went off to his Blue Mountains place, New South Wales. But yeah, so there's a COVID-19 special coming up of some of the crimes that have been committed this year during the global pandemic. People do love sitting behind a keyboard telling others how to do their jobs. They do. Yep. And the thing is, oh, snap. So we must have said that at the same time. I was going to tell you how to cook. Oh, Cherie, I love you so much. You're just fitting so well into this crowd. I love it. Cherie's gorgeous. Cherie and I met because we modelled together. And Cherie's 6 foot something and blonde and gorgeous and amazing, and I just have to model with her and feel quite inferior next to her because she's at her daughter is a beautiful, all of her kids are gorgeous, but one of her daughters was graduating from a modeling course that I emceed the graduation, and then Cherie and I ended up modeling together, and we used to have so much fun. My God, we had so much fun. I love having you in here, Cherie. It's brilliant. Get into my kitchen and do it for me. Oh, yeah, and there was the Page Liquor. She was in the UK, wasn't she? And see, now I'm sitting here touching my face. She's a real person. I'll be not. Cherie is a real person, like a real person in my life, yes. She is all quiet over on Facebook now. Mark, it was really good to have you over there too, Groover. Mark's a genuine friend of mine too from when I lived in Adelaide. Bloody Cummings in the UK should bloody resign, not even elected by the British public. He's an ass. I think I was just reading about him. Was it Dominic Cummings? Is he the one that's in the middle of the scandal, or is it just some other fuckwit who's now done some stupid shit? I'm sure there was something about Boris and things. The one thing that I can't say is I found this really great news source. It's got all the sort of headlines of the world, but you can't actually type into a search bar for it, which really annoys me. I wish that they'd brought that about. Hey, let's have a look at the global statistics. I haven't done that for a while. There was another story I was going to do, which I might leave. I think I'll do a second episode. I want to sit down and actually really listen to the Four Corners episode and take some really good notes. I think it'd be a really good one to discuss, especially when I read that article about, exposing that letting them onto the ship was a problem as well, not just letting them off on March the 19th. I really want to see what that's all about. The departure was delayed with the wreck of the Ruby Princess. That's what I call the March one. The disembarkation on the 19th of March was delayed because New South Wales authorities were on board doing COVID swabs. So, yeah, they swabbed the boat and then let people board who weren't tested and spent 2 weeks in isolation, essentially on a boat. So, yeah, who's responsible for A, letting the passengers on, and B, letting them off? So I'll make a note to do a separate one on the Four Corners episode because it's about 45 minutes and I was about 20 minutes into it and it was already generating many questions. But that was the one that was like, whoa, okay. So I'll leave that other article and I was looking for the Boris thing. Oh, I can't go down that road, but I know what you're saying, Ruth. I think, are you talking about the same dude? Oh, I want to have a look at the statistics, right. You admired me. Well, you admired me for modelling when I shouldn't have been. I admired my short, frumpy. I mean, I'm 5'9", so I'm not really short, but Cherie's so tall. I look short next to her. We did laugh. We laughed a lot. Oh, yes, you do need to go to Mel Mel's channel as well. Hang on. Mel, I'll give you a wrench and you can pop links in. Pop links. Because I'd love you to put my link to my other channel if you can be bothered. Did Ruth pass out from the fumes? Troy, that is yes. Yeah, went up to the north to stay away from London. Not so well spreading it up there. Did it twice. Oh, good on him. Fuck me dead. Oh, there she is. Wet Ruth. But yeah, if you want to drop your link, Mel, because I just want to bring up this, the latest, because I love the. Well, I don't love the statistics. That's really not the right word to use when you're talking about how many people have died from this horrible prick of a thing. 5.7 million, 352,748 deaths, and just under 2.5 million have recovered. But hang on, I'm going to share this. Share the screen. Oh, have you guys been? Actually, I'll just unhighlight that. Thank you, Mel, for putting the links. Hit this for a good time. Jesus, what's a wrench? I'm tempted to give you one, Cherie. It basically makes you a moderator of my channel, but all you have to do is ask people to hit the thumbs up, and actually, I'm going to make you a moderator since you asked. You are now a wrench, Cherie. Don't ever boot or mute or block trolls, because on this channel, we love the trolls. Now, before we look at the statistics, how do we feel about these overalls to the right? Can I expand this picture? It stopped and it was flashing before. Start flashing again. Hang on. Oh, no. I mean, there's more there, but I liked it when it was flashing and giving me a slight migraine. There we go. Look at it. Anyone going to buy them? See, Cherie would probably get away with them because she's so tall. But tomorrow when I'm cooking, you're going to see me in a little pinafore that I've got, which the top of it's kind of like those overalls, but it's a little short dress rather than overalls. And I'm probably will wear it with a little black skivvy, and I feel like I look like a 5-year-old in it. It sort of reminds me of something I wore as a kid, but it's like a little dress. But I was like, this could actually be used as like a pinafore in the kitchen. And I don't, because I found it online on Kmart for like $10. I needed to buy some new skivvies, so I threw it into the bag as well. But I'm going to look like a little wiggle or something, I think, in it. But what's the verdict on the flashing? Oh, I've got the hiccups. Hang on a sec. Sorry, I had, when you can feel a hiccup coming in, it's going to be like one of those sort of things. That's not what they sound like. The hiccups that are a little bit over the top and they kind of hurt. Look at Mel and Cherie bonding in chat. Love it. Deb, I want those sexy ads. I can't tell if you're being honest or like if you're joking, so I'm not going to say anything. Serenity B likes them. Cherie likes them. They look really comfy. You had the green ones in the short style when you're pregnant with black. Cute. I like the comfort factor too. I'm a fan of the overall and the short. Like the short version. But even my little dress, like, yeah, I seriously look like a 5-year-old in it. But anyway, so they look quite soft. And if you are keen, you can head to the New Chic website. In fact, let's head there now. The things you get on the Smooth Criminal podcast. I don't want their notifications. $47. $47. Tax included. I prefer the blue to the green, but that's just a preference thing. Got some very florally, so they're all $47.11. Those ones look a bit. These ones are these ones are $51.82. What's going on here? a casual jumpsuit. I'd call that a onesie, wouldn't you? I mean, would you go to the shops in these? They kind of look pajama-ish, right? Who would go out and about in those? Let me see if you're getting the full screen. Yeah, you're getting as good. I'll just take that chat off. Fluorescent. Could have given me a screw instead of a wrench. How do we end up looking at clothing? Well, you pay $10 final offer. You'd wear the crap out of this? It looks comfy, but would you wear it to the shops? How did we end up on clothing? Look, I don't know. I don't know. We just did. There's a 15% off for new users. You can get coupons. We don't do coupons generally. Let's see what else is on this. So there's a sort of now that one is a $57, the coral coloured one, or you've got a 51. Oh, there's one with little fishies. I like that one. I could do the fishies on the beach. They do look comfy. But I've got a horrible feeling they would arrive and they would be, oh my God, look, there's a whole new world of things happening down here. I have a feeling they'd arrive and they'd be teeny tiny and they'd end up in this sending back and forth thing. Good grief. These look wrong. See, that's the sort of thing that would arrive and you'd get a massive camel toe from it, I reckon. There's only 2 left. A popular item. There you go. Anywho, back to, I'm stopping that website. Oh, hello. Where's, it's gone. Hang on. Here we go. This is what I wanted to show everyone. Your Uggs would look great with that. You could be a Teletubby. See, I reckon I'd look like a Teletubby in them too. They would give Cherie a big camel toe. It's taken them 10 years to sell one of the 3. Do they have 2 left? All right, so on this screen, yeah, look at the latest data, guys. It's crazy. When I started doing this, showing this website, it was maybe 1,000 cases worldwide. It just went up so quickly, but I'm just curious to see what's going on in the world. Like, look at the US. They're still getting new cases, new deaths, over 100,000 deaths. Look at the 1.725 million cases in the USA with the total for the world, 5.7 million. It's horrifying. And I don't want to say this to be, I don't know what the word is, but I kind of expected India, which is down at number 10, and don't get me wrong, their cases are horrific and shooting up rapidly, and possibly will continue to, unfortunately. But initially when this thing broke out, everyone was watching India, I think, just because it's such a heavily populated country. Look at Russia. That's interesting because Russia had very low figures and then they suddenly went up like by 4,500 overnight. But they were still well down in the 100,000, the low 100,000s, or even below 100,000. And now their stats are starting to look a little bit more accurate. Brazil is heartbreaking. It's just crazy. 1 new case in China. I don't know about you guys. Do you think the China figures are still a little bit wrong? I don't know. I think they are wrong, personally. What do you guys think? And then a bit of a large number happening there for Mexico. God, it's getting hot in here. I turned the heater off, but I get hot sitting in front of my computer for too long. Which other countries? So where's Australia now? We're a long way down. 61, 6 new cases and 1 new death. Honduras. And then let's have a look for some greens. Like Greenland is a green. And also there are only about 15 countries on the list when I started looking at it too. Faroe Islands, they're now completely clear. Where are they? Excuse my ignorance. Where's the Faroe Islands? I honestly have never heard of them before. I don't mind admitting ignorance. Self-governing archipelago, part of the Kingdom of Denmark, comprises 18 rocky volcanic islands between Iceland and Norway in the North Atlantic Ocean, connected by road tunnels, ferries, causeways, and bridges. Hikers and bird watchers are drawn to the island's mountains, valleys, and grassy heathland, and steep coastal cliffs that harbour thousands of seabirds. Population just under 50,000. The Faroese language is most similar to Icelandic and the now extinct Old Norse language. Well, there you go. I never heard of them. Is anyone else going to admit they don't know anything about them? China couldn't lie straight in bed. Cruise ships go to India. There you go. Oh, look at those attractive shoes. 50% off. Anyone keen? There's usually a simple solution to most problems. I haven't worked out what it is yet, though. I think they're missing something with how this virus spreads. I think they actually know how it spreads, and it's just impossible to stop it because it's a grubby little hitchhiker that lasts a long time. But there you go. We've learned about the Faroe Islands. Let's go back and see who else has got the green line of happiness. I know Greenland does. French Polynesia. China, Macau, SAR. But whereabouts is that? Like, is it another self-governing archipelago? Where's that? Why is it free? Is it because it's South Coast? Okay. Oh, yeah, near Hong Kong. All right. Got it. Down the bottom. Back here again. Hopefully I'm showing the right screen. Yeah. Sorry for getting a bit wonky with me rapidly scrolling. There's the Diamond Princess. 13 deaths. 712 cases. Wasn't that just a nightmare? Eritrea, Timor-Leste, New Caledonia, St. Lucia, Dominica, St. Kitts and Nevis. Getting a bit of geography happening here. We've gone from ugly overalls to dual island nation situated between the Atlantic Ocean and Caribbean Sea. Oh, and they've got green vervet monkeys and volcanoes. Okay, there you go. The Falklands are looking good. Seychelles, Papua New Guinea, Caribbean Netherlands, St. Barth, Anguilla, St. Pierre, Miquelon. Well, there you go. But look at that. For peeps, 215 countries. And yeah, I reckon there weren't even 10 when I first started looking at this website. This is the Johns Hopkins University Worldometer. Anyway. Oh, I did kick myself out. Here we go. Jesus. Never heard of the Faroe Islands. Yes. You need to go lay down. You feel like you've just eaten a rhino. Well, I'm going to sign off. This has been an hour and a half of happiness. I'll just check what's happening on Facebook. Give us a camel toe. Can I PM you where the best places are to visit in my beautiful state? I can, Mark. I will send you a huge list of things that you must do, and you can start planning for when the borders are lifted again. Good to see you over on Facebook, mate. Thanks too to everyone in Morgan. Hello. You snuck in at the end. Good to see you, gorgeous. You feel like just sitting a run. Thank you so much, Deb. Congratulations on your losing your YouTube virginity on my channel. That's very cool. Good point, Angela. Yes, a little higher than people dying from the flu. You're right. But thanks, everyone, for joining me. I will do a new episode. I might just do a recorded one summarizing the Four Corners episode and just highlighting some questions that it raises, especially the should they have even let, I mean, I don't think they should have let people on the wreck of the Ruby Princess cruise personally, but the fact that it was there were New South Wales authorities on the ship doing swabs before they let the previous cruise off. Night pork chop. So good to hang out with everyone as usual. And don't forget, on my other channel tomorrow night, if you want to join in, I can't remember what time it is, possibly 5-ish. I'm doing keto cauliflower soup, and it's really yummy. Even for you non-cauliflower liking people, actually, no, I think you kind of do have to like it, but it's really good. It's got nuts, and the last time I did it properly, I had pancetta, but this time I'm going to just do some bacon. But it's really delicious, and I'm also going to do some keto bread rolls to have with it. So if you want to hang out in the kitchen tomorrow, 3 p.m., thank you, Mel. And other than that, take care, everyone. Thank you for hanging out with all of us. Welcome to my new mod, Cherie. And yeah, oh, you're keen for that. Cool, Deb. Well, now you know how YouTube works. Come to the YouTube's world. It's fun. And as always with my cooking, if anyone wants to cook along, you don't have to be cooking the same thing, but if you just feel like Mel and I did it the other night, feel like just hanging out and chatting while we all cook, it's good fun. So that's tomorrow at 3 p.m. And is it really 3 p.m.? Are you sure? I might have to change that. That's a bit early because I want to actually have it for dinner. And I think the bread rolls will take about an hour to cook. The soup doesn't take more than an hour. And the bread rolls will go in first. So I better change that. I think 5 would be better. I don't know why I went for 3. It's silly time. 5 p.m. It's for 5 p.m. All right, Grievous. So, yeah, 5 p.m. tomorrow on my other channel right now with Tori. Thank you for putting the link in there, Mel. Take care, everyone. Thanks for your emails too. I've been getting some ripper emails, and yeah, we'll keep you posted on the next exciting developments with the wreck of the Ruby Princess, and look out for the new Smooth Criminal podcast special, The Wreck of the Al Kuwait. Until then, take care, be good to each other, and don't buy the overalls. Love you guys.